Morbius is the latest film in the various Sony Spider-Man series, so now it's time to rank all 12 Spider-Man and Venom-Verse films from the worst to the best. Coming in at last place at number 12 is Spider-Man 3. Every decision in this movie is incredibly wrong. Topher Grace is wildly miscast as Venom, the script is completely awful, and in addition to the infamous Bully Maguire dance sequence, there's actually 2 more dance sequences in the film, and all of them are cringy. The film is also bogged down by too many plot lines and characters, and the whole film is utterly unwatchable. Number 11, Amazing Spider-Man 2. While it does have many of the same problems that plague Spider-Man 3, this film is at least a bit more competently made, particularly in the way it handles the relationship between Peter and Gwen, which makes the film's ending that much more tragic. While the villains in this film were a bit weakly written, it's the stuff about the relationships that makes it interesting, even if the rest of the script was focusing too hard on trying to set up a Sinister Six movie. Number 10, Amazing Spider-Man. The biggest problem with this film is it feels redundant. It only came out 10 years after the Tobey Maguire film, so making it an origin story felt unnecessary. If they had rebooted this film with the mindset that most people already knew Spider-Man's origin and just jumped right into it without setting up the origin story, it would have been a lot better. It feels like a fusion of a reboot and unused story ideas from Sam Raimi's unmade Spider-Man 4, and they don't blend as well as they should. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have great chemistry and are very cute together. The story just needed to go in a different direction than it did. Number 9, Venom. While I find this film a lot of fun, I agree the script is clunky. There's a ton of dialogue that sounds like it was written by a 10-year-old, but I still enjoyed this film. Tom Hardy brings a lot of comedy to the film and is enjoyable to watch. The story is decent, and I still have a lot of fun with it, even if the script isn't the smartest. Number 8, Venom Let There Be Carnage. This gives us more about what worked about the first Venom, namely the buddy comedy dynamic from Eddie and Venom, and gets rid of what didn't work about the first film and is very enjoyable. Woody Harrelson is very chilling as the villain Carnage, and it's a shame his character is a bit underdeveloped. There's a bit of filler toward the end of the second act that I feel could have been better spent on fleshing out Carnage, but I still enjoyed what we got. Number 7, Morbius. This fixes many of the problems of the Venom movies. It has a script that's more competently written, gives us a compelling main character that's easy to root for and sympathize with, and it mixes horror, sci-fi, and comic book very well. The action is a ton of fun to watch, the CGI is some of the best I've seen in a comic book movie, the vampire legend is played with in new and interesting ways, and Matt Smith gives a very fun performance as the villain. Number 6, Spider-Man Far From Home. The sequel that, while it's more exciting than its predecessor, Spider-Man Homecoming, and certainly has higher stakes, still holds back from letting Peter be his own character, instead keeping him reliant on Tony Stark even after Tony is dead. Mysterio, while Jake Gyllenhaal gives a fun performance to the character, is not the best written character. And the biggest problem I have with this movie is it's a bit more crass than the other Spider-Man films, specifically with what the Spider-Sense is called in this movie, making it feel like it's trying to be more like Deadpool with some of the humor. And there's also a very cringy scene involving Peter and an adult female S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that was awkward, unnecessary, and out of place. Number 5, Spider-Man. For the most part, this film still holds up, though in some ways it's also a bit outdated. The origin story is well told. Tobey Maguire, though a bit too old for the role, still comes across as the character very well. Willem Dafoe is awesome as the Green Goblin, but a lot of the action and dialogue, though they are right on the money with the tone of the comics, feel a bit dated by today's standards. Nevertheless, it's still a great movie. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland's first solo outing as the web slinger is a fun one. It has a very different feel than other Spider-Man films, feeling more like a high school film from the 80s, such as Ferris Bueller. Holland gives a very entertaining performance, embracing the awkwardness of navigating high school while still trying to live up to the responsibility of his new superpowers. Michael Keaton also gives an incredibly chilling performance as the Vulture. This movie is a fun, fresh take on Spider-Man. Number 3, Spider-Man 2, one of the greatest movie sequels of all time, comic book movie or otherwise. The ideas of the first film are expanded upon even more. We get a villain who's easy to sympathize with and want to see redeem himself. Peter goes through immense character growth, and it has an ending that leaves you excited for the next one, which makes the fact that the third film was so incompetently made that much more disappointing. Number 2, Into the Spider-Verse, one of the most creative animated films and comic book movies of all time. Each character is memorable and unique, each with their own style of animation. One character is anime style, one's more Looney Tunes, one's black and white, and each character is enjoyable and all work well off of each other. The film also takes advantage of the animation medium by giving us classic comic book action sequences. The film has something everyone can enjoy. And coming in at number 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home. The payoff to 20 years and 8 films of world building. Characters such as Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker that didn't get to finish their story in their film finally get their well-deserved payoff. Each Spider-Man actor has quick and natural acting chemistry with each other, the villains are all incredibly fun, and the MCU's Peter Parker story is evolved in the best and most satisfying way possible. So it comes in at number 1. So go ahead and share your ranking of the Spider-Man and Venom-Verse movies, and I will see you next time.